welcome back to Julie.V, doing it with me. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 16 things South Africa has that England doesn't. But first, if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Julianne. I'm a South African YouTuber currently living in London, and I love cooking, baking, design, DIYs, anything like that. And if you enjoy my content, please click the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to turn on notifications, and I'm really glad to have you here. Number one, we're starting off with one of my favorite drinks ever, which is cola tonic and soda. This is what the cola tonic looks like, and you can get it almost anywhere in South Africa, but here in England they just don't have it. Number two would be Simba Chips and knickknacks. Now, any proper South African knows these. These are the chips you've grown up eating, and they're absolutely divine. They just don't have crisps in England that are as good. That's my personal opinion. I haven't found anything that is in comparison to Simba Chips and knickknacks. Number three. This one is pretty much well known. The weather. South Africa has absolutely amazing weather. Because it's in the southern hemisphere, we have a really long summer and a short winter. And the nice part about our winter is that the sun still shines and you can go outside, you can sit in a sheltered area, sit in the sun, and it could be like a hot summer's day. The coldest our winters get to is like 12 degrees, and that's what we feel is like really, really cold. Our summers can go up to 35 degrees heat waves, but in general we're around 28, 29 degrees during a nice warm summer. So South Africa has absolutely like 100% better weather than here in England. Number four is quite unexpected as a South African coming to England. It would be parking. In South Africa, you can go to any restaurant, any house, any shopping center, any shop really. Literally anything comes with parking because you drive everywhere. And so coming to England or being in England, it's very different. They hardly have parking, and any parking lots you find are prepaid meters. So you have to go and you have to pay for an hour, 2 hours, and you have to display your ticket, otherwise you will get a really big fine because space here is so limited. So that is something that as a South African you take for granted, that everywhere you go you can just park your car. Number five. So this one is shopping malls or shopping centres, and it is a thing in England. They do have shopping centres, and they are also quite big, but they're not as many, whereas in South Africa all shops are in shopping centres. Even if it's like a small shopping centre with 4 or 5 shops, it's a shopping centre with parking from number four. Whereas here in England, you have high streets with all the shops. So there is no parking, and it's just harder, in my opinion, to get things. Number six. This is probably one of the things I miss the most about South Africa, and it is safari. Safari, or what we just call it the bush, where you have the big five: the lion, elephant, rhino, cheetah, and buffalo. And basically just the nature of South Africa. I find the English plants in general aren't very pretty. They're very much green and grey. Whereas in South Africa, there's lots of beautiful like dry grass and different shades of like yellows and browns. And sticking to safari, there is nothing better than going for a week's holiday out in the bush, under the stars, going on game drives, and really just relaxing out there in nature. And they just don't have that kind of thing here. They don't have giraffes, wild dog, zebra. That's one of the things I miss the most about South Africa, is being able to go on safari. Number 7, warm sandy beaches. So in England they do have beaches and people do visit them. They're really popular, mainly in the summer. And the difference between England beaches and South African beaches is that England beaches are mainly majority pebble beaches, and the ones that do have sand often are in like a wind tunnel. So if you go to those sunny beaches, the wind is just blowing. That sand hits your legs and your body, and it is extremely painful. So, and the water in England never warms up, even in the heat of the summer. Whereas in South Africa, we have lovely warm beaches. Not all year round. During winter, the water does get quite cold, but if you compare South African cold water to English cold water, it's still warmer. Also, we mainly have sand beaches. I don't even know if we have pebble beaches. I've never been to a pebble beach in South Africa. Number 8. This one, every single South African should know what this is, as well as this. If you are not South African, you may not know what these are. These are rechargeable lights. Every South African owns one or more of these because we have a thing called load shedding. Every South African has experienced this, where at 6 o'clock at night, the electricity cuts off. You cannot make dinner, you cannot see, you cannot have hot water. You literally are in the dark for the next 6 to 12 hours, and stage 6 load shedding is a nightmare. Every South African has candles, matches, a gas stove, rechargeable lights, and candles ready. I think I might have already said candles, but if I didn't, candles. If not, you will be walking around in the dark. We also have torches and flashlights at like specific places where everyone knows when it goes dark, go and grab the lights. So that's something, I don't know if it's like 100% unique to South Africa. Other countries might also suffer from a thing called load shedding, basically power outages. You don't really have that in England. Electricity is like a given. Number 9, the traditional foods. South Africa has by far the best traditional foods, such as chakalaka pap, boerewors, bunny chow, bobotie, melktart, malva pudding, biltong, droewors, potjies, koeksisters. We have such a huge range of very flavorful, spiced food, and it ranges between the different cultures in South Africa, which means you get a vast range of traditional foods in South Africa. Whereas here in England, it's a lot of the places that serve British cuisine have fish and chips, mushy peas and mashed potatoes. They serve burgers as well. It's not, I don't think the British cuisine is as diverse and delicious as South African traditional food. Number 10, steers. If I tell you what a disappointment it is to not have steers in the UK, you have to believe me. As South Africans, everyone knows what steers taste like. The steers chips are by far the best of all the fast food places in South Africa, and their ice cream machines always work, unlike Kentucky and McDonald's. And if you know steers, you know that they sell their own products. And as a South African who loves steers, you have to believe me when we say we go online and we order Steers products. So we've got Steers barbecue sauce and Steers seasoning salt, which is by far the best salt to put on your chips, better than any of the other fast food joint salts. So you have to believe me when I say Steers is amazing, and it is the biggest disappointment not having it here in the UK. Number 11, gyms. So more in particular Virgin Active, because South Africa has Virgin Active is, I think, one of the biggest gym chains in South Africa, and it's very different to here in England, as I've said, about the parking and basically overall size. So gyms here are very much small, and you find a lot of them on the high street. There's no parking, so you've got to walk to them or take public transport. Whereas in South Africa, if you have a Virgin Active membership, you can go to any Virgin Active anywhere, where I've seen that there's not as many Virgin Actives, and I know that they are really expensive here, which is why there's less, because people aren't really willing to pay that much to go to a gym. And so I just in general think the gyms in South Africa, even though it's still Virgin Active, it's just I don't know if I'd say cheaper, but the gyms in South Africa, I think, are more common, also just better in general. Number 12. This one is very difficult to get used to. Walls, electric fencing, spikes, gates. You don't get that in the UK. In South Africa, it doesn't matter where you go in the country, you will see walls higher than 1 meter, 2 meters, with electric fencing all around the perimeter, and we've all got gates into our properties. It's a very key thing in South Africa, and growing up there, that was the normal. Coming to England, where they've got terraced housing and just in general very open houses. Number 13 is estates. They are quite common in South Africa. Basically, big pieces of land with single houses on them. You can get 7 to 10 houses in an estate, and it's very much secure. They've all you've got gates into your property, and then there's a gate to get into the estate, and they often have a security guard at the entrance gate. They do not have that here. Number 14. Better tasting water. This is something I noticed immediately when getting to the UK. The water here tastes disgusting compared to South African water. South African water is very much sweeter and lighter, and the water here is very much filled with lime scale, and it's hard water, so it tastes worse. Number 15. Swimming pools. This is something you will find in almost every, not in the poorer communities, but in the medium to high earning families or people in South Africa. They own pools. It is like almost every South African home has a pool that comes with it. It is just because we are very much swimmers, and it's such a hot country that during the summer, swimming is what you do. You go to your friend's house to swim, they come to your house to swim. Swimming is like a really big culture, and it's a fantastic thing. And they don't really have that here. I've seen one house with a swimming pool. No, I've seen two houses with a swimming pool in the UK, like in the house, whereas they don't really have swimming pools with the houses because it's so cold. You don't really want to go outside and swim. And the gardens are also really small, so in the small space that you have, you don't want to use it up for a pool that you have to take care of and clean and stop all the leaves from going in, but you also then don't get to use it because often the weather is unpleasant. Number 16, squatter camps or townships. This is something that South Africa has that England doesn't have anything close to it. England does have poorer communities like South Africa, but South Africa is very unique in how we have shacks, which is not something you see here. When you fly into Cape Town and you drive out of the airport, you immediately see on the Cape Flats like hundreds of shacks that have been set up and created a township. Thank you guys so much for watching. We are at the end of the video. I hope it was interesting, eye-opening, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment down below and make sure to click that like button, as well as if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. There is a watermark in the left hand corner, the corner of this video, so click and subscribe, become a part of the Doing It With Me family.